Greetings, folks. Welcome back. In this short video, we're going to talk about market efficiency, which is an application of welfare economics. You might remember some of the basic concepts of welfare economics. We talked about consumer surplus, which represents the benefits received by buyers from participating in a market. That's the difference between the willingness to pay, the value they place on a good or service, and its price. Then we had producer surplus, which is the difference between the price received by the seller and the marginal cost of producing that unit of a good. So that can be thought of as the benefits that are received by the sellers. So first we will try to draw in and see what consumer surplus looks like. If you remember, consumer surplus is a measure of the benefits to the buyers, consumers. So remember, the demand curve represents the value that we place on getting a unit of the good. So it's the willingness to pay. So if a consumer is willing to pay an amount way up here, and the price, the equilibrium price, was way down here, that buyer is really excited. They get a large benefit. They value the good, would be willing to pay this amount, but only had to pay this amount, this price, the equilibrium price. So you can fill in this whole area and get the consumer surplus for all the buyers. Whoops, went below the price, didn't mean to do that. Colored outside the lines here. But this is the consumer surplus. And there it is, there's my completed drawing. See, I filled it all in there. Now if we have some numbers for price and quantity, we can actually estimate the amount of the consumer surplus. So here we have an equilibrium price of 10 and an equilibrium quantity of 14. We have a price up here of 19. So we can calculate the area in this triangle. It's base times height divided by 2. That's the area of a triangle. The base of this triangle is 14, goes from 0 to 14. The height is 9. It's 19 up here and 10 here. So 19 times 4 divided by 2 is 63. So that's the amount of consumer surplus. Next we'll look at producer surplus. Remember, producer surplus is a measure of the benefit to sellers. So you had a low-cost seller, somebody down here. The marginal cost of producing this unit was very low. Remember, the supply curve represents marginal cost. But the price in the market, the equilibrium price, was up here. So that seller's very happy, very excited, very psyched, because their marginal cost is here, but the price was up here. So that's a benefit to the seller. If you include the benefits of producing all of the units in this market, you get a producer surplus that looks like this. And there it is, colored in. You can also estimate the amount of producer surplus using these numbers here. So if you remember, the equilibrium price was 10, equilibrium quantity was 14. So 1/2 base times height is the formula for a triangle, the area of a triangle. And you get 10 times 14 divided by 2 equals 70. So that's the producer surplus. So another concept we covered in welfare economics was called the total surplus. That's a surplus to everybody in society. In this simple example, the society is made up by the consumers and the producers. So now the total surplus is the difference between the willingness to pay of buyers and the marginal cost of sellers. Oops, get the pen here. So we can draw in the total surplus. Again, this is the willingness to pay of buyers. This is the price they have to pay. This is the marginal cost to sellers. It's the price they receive. But the total surplus is this whole area, because you have the benefit to buyers and the cost to sellers. marginal cost. So here's our total surplus, and that looks like this. So just to kind of review what we just covered, we had some basic concepts of welfare economics. The equilibrium quantity maximizes the total surplus. In fact, it maximizes the sum of the benefit to the buyers and the sellers. If you were at a lower quantity, a quantity that was less than equilibrium, the willingness to pay of the buyers would exceed the marginal cost. So from society's standpoint, you would want to produce more. You'd want to get out to that equilibrium, because what we wanted, our benefits as a buyer, our willingness to pay, would be higher than what we'd be giving up as society. So we're like, heck, let's just increase the quantity. If you were at a higher quantity, by that I mean one that's higher than equilibrium, the marginal cost, what we're giving up from society's standpoint, is higher than our benefit. So you wouldn't want to expand output at that point. If you were beyond the equilibrium, you would actually want to reduce the quantity and get to that equilibrium quantity. So that's it for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.